Today I'm going to show you how to make a green smoothie. We're going to be using kale, kiwi, strawberries, and apples with a base of apple juice. Green smoothies are a great way to get a whole lot of vitamins and minerals packed into one little punch, and a great way to get kids especially to eat greens. Leafy greens are good for us.
I like greens anyway.
That's my son. He's the cameraman today. I'm using my Hamilton Beach single-size blender, so I have to modify my blending to go with that. If you have a larger blender, you'll be able to blend everything together. But I sort of have to do them one little bit at a time and then blend it together. So to start, we're going to put the apple juice in. I've got about a cup of apple juice. You want to make sure you have at least enough to cover the blades of the blender. And this is important because the greens won't really blend themselves. They need a liquid. So then you can take your greens. How much greens you use is really going to depend on your own personal preference. I suggest, if you've never done green smoothies before, starting out with just a small handful, maybe 3 or 4 leaves. I'm going to pack this one full of greens. I am finding that I really love the greens in there. And if you do the fruit right, it really covers up the taste of the greens. So the more you get in there, the better. I've got probably a good cup worth, maybe a cup and a half that I'm packing in here. Okay, that's packed nice and full. I'm going to put the lid on. Snap it closed really good. And then we're just going to blend this. Patrick's Day goodness going there, huh? Okay.
What's more like St. Patrick's Day vomit?
William. Okay, I'm going to pour a little bit out. I'm going to leave some of the liquid in there. And I'm going to add 3 kiwis. I've already sliced these, but I left the skin on. The skin on kiwis is edible. It doesn't seem too appetizing to us when we eat it just as a kiwi, so a lot of people slice the skin off. But this is getting all blended in together. So it's not really going to matter if the skin is on there or not. I slice them because it makes it easier to blend. If you just throw the whole kiwi in there, it won't blend quite as well. And I think my son's trying to steal some of the apple that I've got here. I'm going to have to get him for that. That's okay. At least he likes his fruit and veggies. Okay, got that nice and packed full. We're going to put that lid on there again. Again, if you have a bigger blender, you can just throw these all in there and let them blend. Pour that a little bit out, empty that out. Again, we still want to leave some liquid in there. You may find that a cup of apple juice isn't quite enough. You may have to add some more. Now we're going to blend the apples. I've already sliced these. Again, I left the skins on these. Whoops! There went that piece of apple. Again, I left the skins on these because
it's edible.
They're full of nutrients. And since it's all getting blended together, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Get that lid on there again. Now, I'm going to scoop this goodness out. And I'm going to rinse this out because next we're going to do the strawberries. And I'm using frozen strawberries. I live in Michigan, and we still don't quite have the strawberries in season. So they're expensive to buy fresh right now. And I'm on a pretty tight budget. So I buy frozen strawberries because they tend to be cheaper this time of year. Later on, as the season continues, we'll go down to the farmer's market and we'll buy fresh strawberries down there and use those. So I'm going to just slide this back on in there. And I'm actually going to add a little bit more apple juice. I've got markings on mine that I can measure right to a cup on here, right up to 8 ounces on there. And the reason I'm doing that is because with frozen strawberries, when you blend them, they get quite thick. And it gets pretty hard for the little blender to blend it really well. So I'm going to add a good cup of strawberries. Put that lid on, start them blending. You can hear the chunks just going. Now that probably looks a little bit more appetizing than some of the others, doesn't it? Okay. Now we're going to start mixing these. We've got just our base that's got our greens, and I'm just going to pour that right in there. And this was with our kiwi, so I'm going to just pour that right in there too. And it looks like I'm going to have to put this in another container because this little one's just not quite big enough. This is a nice quart-sized container, and the smoothies that I make end up being about a quart. So it works perfect. Blend in the apple. And that, see, that worked perfect. Just about a quart. Which is good for a meal replacement smoothie. And we're going to just stir that up. Now, it doesn't look all that appetizing, I know. The strawberries and the greens make it sort of a icky brown color. But I'll tell you what. In spite of how it looks, they taste wonderful. That's so good. That's so good. Now, the reason I use apple juice for the base, especially with some of the other fruits and the greens, apple juice works as a good sweetener. It's got natural sweetness in it. I use a sugar-free apple juice, so it's the apple's own sweetness. And so I don't have to add any sugar or any sort of sweetener or anything. If you don't use apple juice, you can use just plain water if you want. You can use honey for sweetening it. And you can use just about any fruits you want. Maybe in a couple of days, I'll videotape myself experimenting with some other fruits. But this is my very delicious, very yummy kale, kiwi, apple, and strawberry smoothie. So why don't you try your own, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.